Several months ago, I decided that I would start doing a series of videos with quarterly updates to my precious metal, my coin stack. That's because I pick up odds and ends on a regular basis, and often they just aren't worthy of making an entire video. But I thought maybe it'd be nice if we made, a quarterly update. So spring, summer, winter, and fall and winter, I'll be doing quarterly updates. And the last one that I did, I mentioned these 5 silver coins that you see here before you. And I mentioned that update that I would be cleaning them. It actually didn't get quite the response that I was hoping for. I was kind of needling you guys, and nobody really called me out on it. That's what this video is going to be about. In fact, this is going to be a 2-part video series where I talk about cleaning coins. Now, this is a topic that is incredibly controversial, and this topic is probably long overdue if you're one of my subscribers, but I felt it was probably important for me to finally get this out there and let you know what my thoughts are. If you are new to the channel, my name is Dub C. I want to thank you for being with me here today. If this is your first time with me, or maybe you've caught a couple of my videos before, I'd like to encourage you to click on the subscription button down below. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a way of showing support for the channel. And you guys who are returning subscribers, I thank you deeply and honestly and sincerely. I wouldn't be making these videos if they hadn't found such a nice community of people who want to watch this information. So thank you guys as always for being with me here again today. I also like to begin my videos with a disclaimer, and that disclaimer is that I am not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to offer any kind of financial advice. I'm simply trying to share some of my experience having bought and sold precious metals and rare coins for the last 30 or 40 years. And usually at this point I would jump into a couple of definitions that we can talk about as we go deeper into this video. I am going to be talking about a couple of definitions later in this video. There's 2 in particular. We're going to be talking about PVC, and we're going to be talking about acetone. I think those are subjects that deserve a little bit more concentration, but I wanted to kind of augment that disclaimer that I just gave you, and I want to make perfectly clear, especially because this is a controversial subject, and I want to make 2 points crystal clear. The first one is that if you're watching this video, you are a precious metal stacker, you're a grown-up, right? You don't need Dub C telling you what you can and can't do with your possessions, and I'm not trying to tell you what you can and can't do. I'm offering an opinion, and that's really what this is. This is my opinion. You're a grown-up. You can make up your own mind. You don't need my opinion, but I am offering my opinion in this video for this subject. Keep that in mind. The second thing that I wanted to make abundantly clear is that there is no real correct way to clean a coin, and I will go much, much deeper into that. But it's important to remember that when I'm talking about these subjects, they are really opinions, especially when it comes to cleaning a coin. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but at the same time, I want to make it very clear that what I'm going to be showing with you and discussing with you is truly my opinion. Now, I've given my opinion about things in the past, and you guys who are returning subscribers know that generally I don't really like giving my opinion about something because that's not why I created this channel. I don't like to just hear myself talk. Okay, well, maybe a little bit, but really what I'm trying to do here is share some of my experience. This case is really an opinion, but I want you to keep in mind that I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I say at the beginning of my videos 30 or 40 years. It's really probably closer to 50 years. I'm just trying to be as safe and as honest with you guys as I can be. And in that 50-year period of time, I have had abundant conversations with all sorts of specialists in coin collecting and numismatics, dealers and collectors from all around the world. I am a member of the American Numismatic Association. I am a member of NGC. I am a member of CAC. And I have been focusing on this for a very long time. So while I am not an expert, and I'm not claiming to be an expert when it comes to cleaning coins, I do have a pretty stable and solid basis to be making the opinions, to be talking about the opinions that I have. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you. You can take my opinion with a grain of salt. You can decide that it's probably worthwhile listening to what I have to say. But it's going to be on your shoulders. You're going to have to make these decisions when it comes time to clean a coin, if it ever does. So I wanted to get that kind of out of the way. I'll try to make this as fun and entertaining as I can, but I do see this as a very serious topic. So hopefully you'll forgive that extended version of my disclaimer, and we'll jump right into it. So the cardinal rule of coin cleaning. The cardinal rule of coin cleaning is that we don't clean coins. Full stop. That's the end of that discussion. We don't clean coins. You don't clean coins if you have an appreciation for the quality, the history, the longevity, the everything else about coins. We don't clean coins. I heard of a whole bunch of people just click off the video. Bear with me if you haven't yet clicked off the video, because this really is kind of an important topic. There are exceptions to that cardinal rule, but the reasons why we don't clean coins, the number one rule, is probably the ordinal rule to go along with those cardinal rules, and there are about 5 or 6 of them. So let me run over my thoughts about why we don't clean coins. The first one is probably a little bit difficult to understand if you are new to this hobby of coin collecting and coin stacking. It's that a coin's condition cannot be improved by cleaning. I said the word condition there, and that was a very intentional word for me to use. The condition of a coin cannot be improved by cleaning a coin. If you're not part of this community, the idea of a coin being bright and shiny seems obvious, right? You think that that's what coin collectors and stackers are after, is something that's bright, shiny, clean. But that's not the case. Coins have a very, very delicate surface when they are first released from the mint. Doesn't matter if it's a coin from 500 years ago or the penny that's in your pocket right now. Those original surfaces are something that coin collectors look for. I'll go a little bit deeper into that a little bit here, but right now what we're talking about is the condition of a coin. You cannot improve the condition of a coin through any kind of means. It can't be done. It's like trying to go backwards in time. The condition of a coin is graded on a scale that we call the Sheldon Grading Scale. It's a scale of 1 to 70, with 1 being almost theoretically bad and 70 being almost theoretically good. So once a coin has received any kind of wear, any kind of friction, the grade starts dropping from that theoretical 70, and it keeps on going down and down the more the coin gets jostled and bumped around and worn down through commerce. That's how a coin receives a lower grade. Theoretically, when a coin is first released from the mint, it's the highest possible grade that coin can be, somewhere in the upper 60s, let's say, for example. But as a coin goes through circulation, goes down to the 50s and 40s and even 30s and even lower than that, there is nothing you can do chemically, mechanically, or otherwise that will raise that condition back up again. You can't rebuild that coin once it is worn down. So that's the first ordinal rule of coin cleaning, is that you can't improve the quality of the condition of the coin by cleaning it. You can't bring it back up to a 55 or a 60 once it's dropped down to a 35 or 40. It doesn't make any difference what you do to it. You cannot improve the condition of the coin. That's number one. And I'll actually, I made an entire video series. In fact, we'll probably include these 2 videos in that video series, The World of Coin Collecting. Volume 4 in that series, I talk about coin grades and coin grading. If you'd like a deeper dive into that subject, I think it's a pretty fascinating subject, so I'll put a link to that video down below if you'd like to continue on with that. The number 2 ordinal rule of coin cleaning is that a coin's value cannot be improved by cleaning. Now, this is like any rule. It's got exceptions, and I will touch on some exceptions. If you're saying, no, that's not true, hear me out. Number 2, a coin's value cannot be improved by cleaning. Generally speaking, when a coin is cleaned, especially when it's cleaned by somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, and I'm going to get off my high horse here because I do kind of know what I'm doing, but you can even include me in that group, right? You can say that Dubsy doesn't know what he's talking about. There are professionals who do know how to clean a coin. We call that conservation. So that is an entirely different subject. We're talking about the most commonly seen forms of cleaning, and I'll go over those in just a minute also. But generally speaking, a coin that has been cleaned, if it has any kind of numismatic or collector value, we've been calling that extrinsic value on the channel recently, the coin will go down in value once it's been cleaned. The third-party graders who take a look at coins and grade them will call a coin cleaned and will give it a details grade rather than a straight grade on that 1 to 70 Sheldon scale. That has a significant impact on the value of the coin. It sounds completely contrary to what you might expect, especially if you are new to this hobby. Why would you want something that was dirty and old and dark when you can clean it and make it bright and shiny and new? Coin collectors know what an uncirculated coin is supposed to look like. We can tell with absolute certainty what a coin was supposed to look like when it left the mint. And again, you can't improve the condition of the coin by cleaning it. That was rule number one, right? The ordinal rules. So rule number two is that we can tell when a coin has been cleaned, and it decrease the value of the coin in almost all circumstances. There are very, very few exceptions. There are always exceptions, and we'll talk about some of those, but that's number two. A coin's value cannot be improved by cleaning. In fact, you will almost always reduce its value by cleaning the coin. Number three, a coin's appearance is not improved by cleaning. That, again, sounds counterintuitive, right? There's that dark spotted coin versus a coin that's bright and shiny and new. But coin collectors know what a clean coin looks like. It's been something that's been tried by the most sophisticated coin doctors, is what we call them, for hundreds of years, since coin collecting really became a thing. Coin collectors, especially those who are dedicated to this hobby, can spot a clean coin a mile away. We know when a coin has been cleaned. And a coin's appearance, if you think, as a novice, as somebody who's kind of new to this, is going to look better, you're not correct. Those of us within the hobby don't like clean coins. We don't like the way they look. We like a coin, generally speaking, that is more natural. So that's number three in those ordinal rules. And I kind of hit on number four in those ordinal rules, that as coin collectors can always tell that a coin has been cleaned. Maybe you can't tell this time. What if I just give it a little bit of cleaning? I got this solution that I've heard about that I can dunk this coin in, and you're not going to be able to tell that it's been cleaned. That is not true. We can tell, we coin collectors can tell a clean coin from a mile away. We really can. So while some people might be fooled sometimes, those of us who have been involved in this hobby for any length of time can tell when a coin has been cleaned, and we, generally speaking, do not want that. So these are hard to follow sometimes. These are hard to swallow even. But number four in those ordinal rules, coin collectors can always tell that a coin has been cleaned, and we don't like them. We don't want clean coins in our collection. Number five, and it's probably the final boss rule of coin cleaning, and this one's going to sound particularly harsh, and I actually came up with this one just a couple months ago, and I liked it so much I decided to make a series about it. The final boss of the ordinal rules of coin cleaning is that every time you clean your coins, you make my coins more valuable. So even if you disregard all the rest of those ordinal rules that I just read off to you, you should understand, because of attrition, that is, coins, just like silver bullion, gold bullion, anything else, gets lost, gets stolen, gets scratched, gets dented over time, gets cleaned, it makes those pieces that are authentic and original that much more expensive. I just got done explaining to you that a coin collector does not want a clean coin. So of a very small population, especially if you're talking about very rare coins, the number of those pieces that have survived, in fact, in some series, there are very few examples that have survived without being cleaned and messed with. Those examples that have never been cleaned and messed with are worth so much more money than those pieces that have been cleaned incorrectly. So that's the final boss of coin cleaning. Every time you clean your coins, you make my coins more valuable, because Dub C does not clean his coins, with the exception that we'll be talking about here in just a little bit. I know that one sounds harsh, but like I said, I came up with this one a couple months ago, and it really seemed to gain traction. So I think it's important to remember, every time you clean your coins, you make my coins more valuable. So you don't necessarily have to believe me. In fact, like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to question everything that you hear online, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. In this case, I'm going to provide a link down below to the American Numismatic Association's own video on YouTube, where they talk about cleaning coins. Now, I take umbrage with at least one small part of that, because the gentleman who is talking in the A&A video mentions cleaning coins and it being okay to use water, but he doesn't specify that it's not okay to dry those coins with something like a cloth, and I think he probably should have said that, because using something like a cloth or a brush on coins will often leave tiny scratches that we call hairlines. And that is, in fact, evidence that a coin has been cleaned. So even the ANA probably doesn't take it as far as Dub C does when it comes to cleaning coins. But don't believe me, watch the video down below. No matter what you've heard online, no matter what videos you've seen on YouTube or TikTok that says this technique is 100% safe, or museums around the world use this technique, or this biggest collector or stacker in the world uses this technique, they're wrong. They are just clickbait videos. They are feeding you misinformation. Again, hear me out. I know I sound opinionated. This is something that I'm actually pretty passionate about. So, you might have heard of some of these techniques, and I'll just tick off the ones that I've seen videos for on places like TikTok and YouTube that are absolutely false. This is not how to clean a coin. This is how to ruin a coin. So we'll start with number one. Toothpaste. That seems to be something that people really gravitate towards. Toothpaste is an abrasive, right? It's actually got small amounts of things like baking soda in it. Because it is an abrasive, it does scrub your teeth clean, but it does the same thing to those very delicate surfaces that we talked about, that coins have. And whenever you're using anything abrasive on a coin, you are going to probably leave tiny scratches on the surface. And we can tell that. We coin collectors look for that. We know what to look for. And we can tell with almost absolute certainty that a coin has been treated with some kind of an abrasive compound. Toothpastes are abrasive. They just are. Number two, aluminum foil and baking soda. This is a very popular one. You've probably seen this. There are lots of different iterations of it. People talk about using hot scalding water and maybe a little bit of lemon juice, also dumping some baking soda in with a piece of aluminum foil, and magically tarnish disappears off of something and lands on the aluminum. Now that's true, and it's actually not the worst way in the world to clean silverware or big silver objects like that. But a coin surfaces are incredibly delicate, and you are transferring the compounds that protect the silver coin, the tarnish, right? That silver oxide is actually going from the coin to the aluminum foil when that method actually works, and it can be tricky to get it to work. But when you're seeing that oxide, that silver oxide transferring, it is impairing the surfaces of the coin. Not every single time, but in almost all circumstances, we can tell when that aluminum foil and baking soda and lemon juice, baking soda is an abrasive, lemon juice is an acid, right? You're using these objects potentially in a way that can harm the coins. Keep that in mind. That's number two. I've heard lots of things about jewelers' cloths and pastes and polishes. Anytime you're talking about a silver polish, something like that, that is using incredibly harsh chemical compounds or abrasives that are mixed. I said abusives, that's funny. Abrasives that are mixed in with it. So you're really doing the same thing. You're chemically stripping the surface of the coin or using some kind of an abrasive that is grinding away the surface of the coin. We can tell that that's been done. That does impair the quality of the coin. And there are lots of other chemicals that are used. Some of them are incredibly good. Some of them I have seen people use with amazing results. And because of that, I'm not going to talk about them here. I am fully aware that they exist, and I know how to use them better than most people. But I choose not to in 99% of the cases because they do so much more harm than good. When I was a little kid, I had a fantastic collection of silver dollars. This was back when Morgans were super cheap. And I would get gift certificates for my favorite coin shop when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And I would run upstairs to this coin shop and I would plunk down, the $5, $10, $15 for the actual pretty rare coins. And then I loved to go back home and dip them in my coin dip over and over again to make them bright and shiny and new. And yes, I ruined probably 2 dozen of the rarest Morgan dollars by doing that. We used to do it. That used to be something that happened in this hobby, and I wasn't unusual for doing that. When you see these compounds that say 100% safe for coins, a lot of these compounds are available over the counter, even at coin shops. Your coin dealer knows full well they're going to ruin your coins. Some of them even have names that talk about the condition that the coin will turn out with once you've used these compounds. These compounds are not safe most of the time, the vast majority of the time. And if you honestly think that you can use them without destroying the surface of your coin, I have a hard time believing it. I have seen so many ruined coins from people who said that they told me, you'll never be able to tell which of these coins has been cleaned. You'll never be able to tell which of these coins I used that particular compound on. I can tell most of the time, and I'm not even an expert. Don't trust them. This is, again, Dub C's opinion. Don't trust these things that say they're 100% safe. Don't trust that TikTok video that tells you this is 100% way to clean, a safe way to clean your coins. It's not true. It really isn't. Anyway, that's the incorrect cleaning method. So again, I said before that the American Numismatic Association has a short video, and I'll put a link down below where you can see they mimic the same things that I have just told you. I think we've established that I'm incredibly opinionated about this, but like I said, I've ruined plenty of coins in my time, and I've seen 1,000 times more ruined in my numismatic history. That's why I'm so passionate about this. I want to keep you from making the mistakes that I see so many other people make. Before we go any further, I want to be very clear. I told you that I would be talking about two definitions here. One of them is PVC and one of them is acetone. The American Numismatic Association apparently doesn't have a formal opinion on the use of acetone, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on a little bit later here. So I want to be extra super careful and make it very, very clear that if you decide to follow the technique that I'm going to show you, I can't guarantee that those coins will eventually be allowed to be graded by the third-party graders without any kind of a condition issue noted. In other words, even if you use this method that I believe to be safe, the American Numismatic Association apparently doesn't take a position on it, and it's very possible that the third-party graders will still call your coin improperly cleaned or some other designation like that if you decide to use this technique. So proceed with caution. Always try something first on something that is not very valuable, and I'm going to leave it up to you if you decide to use the same techniques that I use now in my advanced age of being a numismatist. PVC. What is PVC? I'm not a chemist, and I know that some of my subscribers are, so you guys are welcome to, put in your own thoughts about this down below. In fact, I encourage everybody who's watching this video to read through the notes down below, read through the comments down below, and get other people's opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. I like sharing opinions. I like sharing these thoughts. You guys know that I never tell you what to do. I want to give you that information. PVC is polyvinyl chloride. It was kind of seen as a specialized plastic, a miracle of modern technology. It started becoming really, really popular in the 1960s and 1970s. And it became really popular for drains. Those of you who do your own projects at home with plumbing, those of you guys who are out there in the trenches doing plumbing for the rest of us, you know everything there is to know about PVC. It's that white plastic pipe that a lot of our drains are made of here in the United States. PVC. It's not the same as PEX, those red and blue lines that carry fresh water to your sink or your toilet. That's actually polyethylene, and you don't see polyethylene used, I don't think, in any coin products that I'm familiar with. I suppose it's possible. PVC is a flexible, clear, and very soft material. When you hold it in your hand, it's very pillowy, shiny, but not crisp or sharp. It's very, very soft, and I'll talk about these pieces in the future. But you can see you're not hearing any noise really when I'm bending this 2x2 flip. That's probably because these flips all have a fair amount of PVC in them, polyvinyl chloride. And we thought about these in the late 1970s, early 1980s, when my collection really started taking off. I was guilty of buying the newest thing. This was something that was offered by a lot of the coin suppliers out there. It was a miracle for our hobby. These beautiful, crystal clear, soft plastic envelopes that we put our coins in 3-ring binders. or we put them in flips first and then put them in 3-ring binders. The problem is that we didn't realize at the time, or if we did, we didn't take note of it, that even though these things were put in place to protect the most valuable coin collections out there, we weren't thinking about these things chemically. And when you're thinking about something like polyvinyl chloride, it off-gasses a gas called hydrogen chloride. So again, you chemists out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but PVC off-gasses to hydrogen chloride. When hydrogen chloride mixes with water, with moisture in the air, in the right conditions, it creates a compound called hydrochloric acid. And millions upon millions of beautiful, pristine coins that had been placed in these PVC envelopes and holders in the 1970s, 1980s, stuck in safe deposit box and forgotten about, were destroyed by using these very devices that we had put in place to protect these coins. It is the tragedy of our entire numismatic history that so many of these coins were ruined. So this hydrochloric acid, or very similar compounds that are created from the PVC as it off-gasses with moisture, form kind of the first is kind of a haze. Modern milk spots are not PVC damage, but they look kind of like it. You'll see a haze across the surface of the coin, and in more advanced conditions, the coins actually start building up a green gunk. And that green is, immediately identifiable. Anybody who's seen it before will immediately recognize that color green, and that means PVC damage. I'll show a great image of it right here. So PVC, although it was designed to protect our coins, actually wound up ruining numismatically so many coins. That's one of the reasons why I talk about attrition all the time on this channel, and one of the reasons why I'm talking about improperly stored and cleaned coins here. PVC. The worst thing about this is that we were trying to protect these pieces. Now it looks like silver and copper really took the brunt of this. Gold is a little bit more inert or less ert than silver and copper. And because of that, gold seemed to be okay. I've only seen a very few instances of gold coins that suffer from PVC damage. Platinum even less so, but really we weren't making platinum coins at the time when this stuff was really popular. As an aside note, if you or somebody in your family has an old school collection that was put away in a box, in a safety deposit box, a vault somewhere back in the 80s and even 90s, and it hurts me to say this, but this stuff is still being used to this day, take a look at it. Take a very careful look at those and see if they are suffering PVC damage. Most of them probably will be. And you guys who have been collecting for as long as I have, think about your collection. I'm going to talk about this in just a second here. Maybe it's the time to move away from these pieces. I think you'll thank me later. Unfortunately, when third-party graders really first got into grading, let's call that the mid to late 1980s, there were lots of these collections, these higher-end collections. You have to think that people were submitting coins to third-party graders. They were doing it because they were pretty valuable coins, right? Nobody would have submitted a coin that didn't have any value and pay $20, $25 a piece to have them certified. This was the better stuff. A lot of those better coins were actually in PVC holders for a couple, 3-5 years before they were shipped off to PCGS and NGC. And consequently, some of those earliest slabbed pieces by PCGS and NGC, especially the copper and the silver pieces, if they haven't been cracked out of their slabs, you have to look very, very carefully at these pieces, because often they do, I shouldn't say often, sometimes they do have PVC. It takes a while for it to really start to emerge. And if the coin was already contaminated with PVC when it first went into that rattler holder from PCGS way back in the 1980s, it could take years before that PVC really started to rear its ugly head. And if those coins were stored in the same condition with a little bit of humidity and not very much light, and I understand that's kind of the ideal conditions for PVC damage to occur, those pieces can also have PVC damage even if they're inside those old holders. The graders didn't know to look for it. Nobody was looking for this back in the 1980s. So take a good look at your silver and copper coins, especially if you've got rattler holders, if you've got the early NGC fatty slabs, if you've got the ANA, the small white holders from Annex. Take a look at those. Take a few minutes, go over those really carefully with your loupe. You're looking for very dark spots. You're looking for dark green spots. Again, I showed some pictures. I'll show another picture of what PVC damage looks like here. So PVC, that was what we inflicted on this hobby, and we didn't know better, right? Better living through chemistry, we thought we were doing the right thing. I mentioned that I would talk about these. About 5 years ago, I realized that I still had too many pieces, too many of my better coins that weren't already slabbed in these old school flips. These are plastic flips, but you see how non-brittle these are. You see how quiet this is when I bend it? You can barely make out that noise. I bit it in half and you're not hearing much of anything. There we go. That's an example of a piece that I suspect has PVC. These flips are still being sold to this day with PVC in them, and that is a tragedy, and it's going to result in a lot of ruined coins over time. So about 5 years ago, I finally bit the bullet and decided that I wasn't going to have any of my pieces in holders that I suspected had any kind of PVC. If there was any kind of suspect piece out there, I was going to replace it. And what I wound up doing is I got several packs of these safe flips. These are 2x2 holders that have no PVC in them. The reason they're called a safe flip is because they're designed specifically not to have anything that's going to harm your coins in them. And the difference of these, you can hear that probably just then, is that these really do make some noise. The PVC is soft and very supple, and that was what was kind of alluring about it. And we thought, there's no way I'm going to scratch this coin. We're not going to put them in a 2x2 flip and staple it together. The staples are going to be a thing of the past. We're never going to ruin a coin with a staple. We didn't even realize that the polyvinyl chloride was going to leave some compounds that could damage coins. These safe flips don't have any of those compounds in them. At least that's the way they're built, and I believe them. This is what museums use for their pieces. But you hear how brittle that is? Yeah, it's not a downside. It's really an identifier. That's how I can tell that these safe flips don't have PVC in them. They're not like these pieces that do have PVC in them, right? You're getting the difference there, I hope. I know it's sometimes hard to get the difference online or through a video. So I replaced every single thing. Every single coin that I had that was in any kind of 2x2, if I even suspected that it had PVC, out the door. It wasn't worth it to me. If you've got a coin that's worth having, to me, it's worth storing correctly. So I made that determination, and several years ago, several packs of these safe flips. In fact, I probably bought 10 of them. I use Wizard Coin Supply, wizardcoinsupply.com. I'll leave a link down below. They're not paying me anything for saying that. They just seem to be a very good all-around reference for buying any kind of coin supplies. These packs of 50, when I looked at it just now, and I'll show a picture of their website from when I'm filming, right before I decided to start filming this, 50 packs for about $10 a piece. So these 2x2s will run about 20 cents a piece. That's not nothing, right? When you can pick up the PVC version of these for probably a fraction of that. But you'll be able to sleep so much better at night knowing that your pieces are protected and they're not ever going to get that PVC damage. I highly recommend that you do that. That's the great flip swap. That's what I called it. Everything that I have is now in a safe flip, and I feel so much better about it that way. I mentioned that there would be one other term that I would talk about in this video, and that's acetone. And what we're looking at here is a pint of acetone right here. So this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, believe it or not, this is just the stuff that you buy at the hardware store. This is stuff from the big box store. This is Sunnyside. That's the brand. You're looking for 100% acetone. What is acetone? Acetone is a solvent, and it's a solvent that dissolves organic compounds. So we're talking about things like oils and resins and greases and fats. Those are all dissolved very easily with acetone. In fact, if acetone sounds familiar and you're not a chemist, acetone is like the main ingredient in fingernail polish remover, right? You'll know immediately when you smell it if you wear fingernail polish or your spouse wears fingernail polish and you've ever used the remover, the fingernail polish remover compounds. It is mostly acetone. Now I want to preface that whole argument by saying don't use fingernail polish remover. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about pure acetone, the kind of stuff that you get at the hardware store. That's what we're after. Acetone's a solvent. Acetone does not appear to harm coins. I told you at the beginning of this video, or actually probably a little bit into this video, that the ANA doesn't seem to have a position on acetone. So be very careful when you're using it anyway. But in my experience, acetone does not harm coins. It is poisonous, right? Acetone is a poison. Acetone is incredibly flammable. Acetone will damage your lungs. So if you're going to do the things that I'm talking about now in this next video, I want you to be very careful with it. This is not a joke. This is something that needs to be taken very seriously. Acetone is dangerous. It's also not a magic wand. If a coin is beyond being saved, acetone can't bring it back from the grave. Like I said at the beginning of the video, in those ordinal rules, you can't improve the grade or the condition of a coin by using anything. Acetone can't do that any better than any of those other types of cleanings that I warned you about earlier in the video. So it's not a magic wand. It can't do something that is impossible to do. What it really does is stabilize and remove those things that have the potential to harm a coin over a long period of time. And there are certain circumstances where it does a fantastic job about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Acetone seems to impact copper coins negatively. I have seen coins turn bright blue from using acetone, copper coins in particular. So be very careful. I would not recommend using acetone on anything but silver. That's all I really use it on. I've used it a few times on gold when I thought there was a question about something. But gold and silver are both pretty inert. Copper seems to be treated very negatively by acetone. So I would issue that caution. And if you want to pursue using acetone on copper, try it with something that's not very valuable first and see if you like the results. Even then, take your own results with a grain of salt, because every coin goes through different cycles when you're using acetone. Remember that acetone is a solvent, right? So you don't want to use acetone on your finished tabletop in your kitchen. So you can't say Dub C told you to do that, because if you splash that acetone on your beautifully finished hardwood table, it's going to eat the finish right off of it. That's what it does. It's a solvent. It's a paint solvent. That's why it's used in fingernail polish remover. So be very careful when you're going to be using acetone on any kind of surface. It's not just the risk to your own body and your own self, it's the risk to your table and getting your butt kicked by your spouse for ruining that tabletop. By the same token, remember when we talked about what PVC was and that it's used very, very often now in the United States in plumbing, right? That's what most of our drains are used out of. If you open up your kitchen sink and look down below, you'll see a gooseneck of white plastic. That's PVC. The 4-inch pipe that leads out of your house and goes into your main sewer line is PVC. The main sewer line in most places in the United States, if it's newer than having the clay pipe, the clay tile, is probably PVC too. What does acetone do to PVC? It dissolves it. So be very careful if you're using acetone in your own pipes, because it will eventually break through your PVC pipes. Remember, it's a solvent and it's a dangerous solvent. Now, I've got your attention right. We've gotten down to the wire here. We've talked about the negative side of coin cleanings. I've given you all sorts of my opinions, and I know there's a bunch of people out there who are ranting and raving saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, that they can clean any coin they want to. I'll never be able to tell. Again, it's your coins. I'm not going to tell you not to clean your coins. I'm just telling you what the coin industry, what the numismatic industry, what the hobby thinks about clean coins, and what I personally think about them too. In part 2 of this series, we'll walk through the process of using the acetone that you see here on these coins, these very coins here. And I'm going to show you how to open up these 2x2s. These pieces have been inside these 2x2s probably since the 1970s, 1980s. So I'll show you once again how I open up a 2x2. I've determined it's the safest way to do it. And then we'll actually treat these pieces with acetone. And then finally, I'll show you the end result so you can see whether or not you think that they made an improvement. You can tell whether or not this is something you want to pursue. Again, it's going to have to be your decision to use acetone on your pieces if you want to. But I hope you'll stay tuned to at least see the effects when I use acetone on my pieces. And that way you can make at least a little bit more of an informed decision if this is something you want to pursue. If you have any questions about anything we talked about in episode 1 of this coin cleaning video, by all means leave that down below. Again, try to keep it civil, but your opinion is just as valid as my opinion. And if you've got something you want to say, there's probably going to be other people who want to see your opinion also. I encourage it to be civil, and I want everybody to read through all of the comments down below so we can get this dialogue, this back and forth going about the pluses and minuses of clean coins. I'll be happy to share some examples with you of very valuable coins whose value has been cut by half or even 2/3, sometimes even more than that, because of improper cleaning. If you've got suggestions or ideas on other videos you'd like to see me make, or even video series, by all means leave that comment down below also. And if I decide to make a video series based on your suggestion, I'll give you a great big shout out. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and click on that subscription button. You're going to want to see part 2 of this anyway, right? To see if Dub C ruins his own coins on video. That's got to be worth the price of admission. So I encourage you to go ahead and click on that subscription button. Become part of this community. It would mean a lot to me and really show support for the video channel. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as we go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.